Hello and welcome to another episode of the People Podcast. I am Naseer Mohammed, founder of Ethos of HR. The People Podcast is where we focus on practical, strategic HR insight that helps organizations get people management right. Today, we're going to go deeper into a concept that has gained a lot of attention over the years, but it is still widely misunderstood in practice, and that is radical candour. But I don't just want to explain what it is. I want to explore how it should be operationalized within performance management and why it is becoming a critical retention lever in today's talent market. Radical candour was developed by Kim Scott based on her leadership experience at companies like Google and Apple. At its core, it is built on two behavioral dimensions: care personally, but challenge directly. When you map these on a matrix, you get four leadership styles. The first one, radical candour, high care, high challenge. Then it's ruinous empathy, high care, low challenge. Third, obnoxious aggression, low care, high challenge. And the fourth one is manipulative insincerity, low care, low challenge. Now, from an HR perspective, this is not just a communication model. It is a behavioral performance framework, because every performance conversation sits somewhere within this matrix. Now let's bring in some strategic context. We are currently operating in what I would describe as a retention-led labor market. There is a lot of skill shortages across multiple sectors. There is increased cost per hire and longer time to fill. There is higher employee expectations around development and transparency. And finally, there is reduced tolerance for poor leadership. From a workforce planning perspective, replacing talent is no longer efficient. So organizations must shift from hire to solve to develop to train. And this is where radical candour becomes critical, because development is impossible without honest, high-quality feedback loops. Let's be very direct. Most appraisal systems are structurally flawed. They tend to be retrospective rather than forward-thinking. They are manager-led rather than dialogue-based. They are rating-driven rather than development-driven. And they are infrequent, creating feedback lag. From a behavioral science perspective, delayed feedback reduces learning impact significantly. From an employee experience perspective, it creates ambiguity, anxiety, and perceived unfairness. And all three are key drivers of attrition. Now let's see how radical candour can be placed inside a performance management mechanism. And if it is implemented properly, radical candour addresses these structural gaps. Now let's break this down practically. Let's look at feedback velocity. Radical candour promotes real-time or near-time feedback. This aligns with how learning actually works. Small, frequent corrections rather than large, delayed interventions. The second one is feedback quality. It actually enforces specific behavior-based feedback. For example, it does not say you need to improve stakeholder management, but it actually says, in yesterday's client call, you interrupted twice, which affected engagement. Let's work on active listening techniques. So what this does is it shifts the feedback from subjective to more observed and actionable. And third one would be psychological safety and accountability. Radical candour balances two things that are often seen as opposites: psychological safety and performance accountability. But in reality, high-performing cultures require both. Now let's connect this to retention in a more analytical way. Retention is influenced by three key drivers. The first one is clarity. Do I know what is expected of me? The second one, growth. Am I developing in this role? And the third, recognition and fairness. Am I being assessed accurately? Radical Candour directly impacts all three. It improves clarity through direct communication. It accelerates growth through continuous feedback, and it enhances fairness by reducing bias and ambiguity. And if we link this back to engagement frameworks, including the drivers of trust, growth, and communication, we can see that radical candour is not a standalone concept, but a core enabler of engagement strategy. This aligns strongly with the principle that employees must be at the center of HR strategy to drive performance and retention. The key question is, how do organizations actually implement this? Here are 4 practical interventions. The first one would be move from annual to continuous performance conversations. Replace single point appraisals with monthly check-ins and have quarterly development reviews. The second one would be to train managers in feedback delivery. Most managers are not trained in giving difficult feedback. They're not trained in giving structuring and having structured conversations. And they are not trained in managing emotional responses. Radical candour requires capability building, not just policy change. Third one, to introduce structured feedback models. For example, situation, behavior, and impact. And then feed-forward techniques. This ensures consistency and reduces bias. The last one would be to align the systems with behavior. HR systems should capture ongoing feedback. They should enable real-time recognition and provide analysis on performance trends. This is where HR tech and engagement platforms become critical enablers. Now, there are some risks of getting this wrong. It is very important to be clear. Radical candour is often misapplied. If you remove care personally, you create fear-based cultures, high attrition, and low engagement. If you remove challenge directly, you create quite a mediocre performance, poor performance tolerance, and frustration among high performance. So the balance is not optional, it is essential. If organizations want to compete in today's talent market, they need to rethink performance management fundamentally, not as a process, but as a continuous dialogue built on trust and honesty. And radical candour provides a practical, evidence-based framework to achieve that. Because ultimately, people don't leave organizations where they are challenged and supported. They leave organizations where they are either ignored or misunderstood. If this resonated with you, share it with your leadership teams, because this is not just an HR topic, it is a leadership capability. And if you're looking to embed more effective performance and retention strategies, do reach out to us at Ethos of HR. Until next time, this is Naseer, helping you get people management right.